Thank you for being here. Our hearts are heavy with what we've seen and have experienced in our community. And what we're going to do is, the first one's going to speak to you is our Township Administrator, Dan Malloy. Then after that, our Police Chief, Mark Denney, and he's here with our Lieutenant, Mike Owens. We also, and after that, our Fire Chief, Frank Cook, will have some comments, and he's here also with our Battalion Chief, Steve Kahn. At the end of that, we'll take some questions, and we'll entertain them in an orderly fashion, and hopefully come to a good conclusion very quickly after that. We're going to invite our Township Administrator, Dan Malloy, to come forward at this time.
Can you just say your first name and last name and spell it?
Sure, it's Daniel Malloy, M-E-L-O-Y, Township Administrator. I'll just echo the sentiments of Mr. Love in respect to the condolences we like to express to the families of the victims, and understand that this is a sad day for all of our community as we discuss and work through what these police officers and firefighters experienced last night and the continuing investigation that will go on. I just wanted to take a moment to commend the actions of our first responders, our police officers, and our paramedics and firefighters. And the comments that you'll hear from both chiefs will echo that, but I think it's important for our community to understand the quality of the responders that they have, and this is what these folks do on a daily basis, and important for us to understand how they value their work. With us today are two of our trustees. Mr. Mike Inderhees is our board president, and Mr. Jeffrey Ritter, our board vice president. Mr. Greg Insko is a trustee. He's unfortunately unavailable to be here this afternoon, but he is also with us as we stand together as a township and try to move forward through this tragedy. So I'm going to turn it over to Chief Mark Denney of the Colerain Police Department and his comments.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. First, on behalf of Colerain Township, I want to express our deepest sympathies to the victims and families of last night's tragedy. At 11:21 p.m. last night, our officers were dispatched to the 9900 block of Capstan Drive for shots fired. Upon their arrival, they discovered 9 people had been shot inside of a residence. The Colerain Township Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Services, along with assistance from other agencies, transported the victims to area hospitals, but sadly one victim was pronounced dead at the scene. That victim is Autumn Garrett. She's a female, 22 years old, from Indiana. Also included in those victims were 3 children, ages 8, 6, and 2, who were taken to Children's Hospital and have non-life-threatening injuries. The conditions of the other 5 victims at this time are all believed to be non-life-threatening. Our criminal investigative unit is working hard to follow up on any leads and interview witnesses, and at this time we have no suspect information to pass on to you. This will obviously be our entire focus moving forward. We do ask anyone with any information to contact 321 COPS, which is a Colerain Police Department 24-hour number, or Crime Stoppers at 352-3040. I also would like to take a second to thank the surrounding police and fire departments who stepped up last night to offer us assistance not only at the scene, but in handling the other calls of service that come out during the evening. Especially Cincinnati Police Department, who continues to be a tremendous partner to us whenever we need their assistance. Fortunately, or unfortunately, this type of response is something that we've been training with our fire department for a number of years. I'd like to introduce Fire Chief Frank Cook. He could talk a little bit about his department's response last night. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Speak briefly on the fire department's role during this incident. As Chief Denney stated, we've trained collaboratively, and we work collaboratively on a daily basis with our police department in addressing situations just like this. In fire department terms, we consider it a mass casualty incident, similar to what Cincinnati dealt with back in March of this year at the Cameo nightclub shooting. It too also was a mass casualty incident. We train on a regular basis in mass casualty incidents where we put into place our procedures and guidelines in reference to the triage, treatment, and transportation of injured or sick victims. In last night's incident, our first arriving crews were able to enter the scene, take a look, a rapid look at what they had, determine and prioritize who was treated first, who was transported first, request additional resources, and this is all part of the mass casualty training and policies and procedures that we have within the department. Just from a performance measurement, the first ambulance unit on the scene was able to conduct its initial triage and was able to transport the very first most critical patient within 5 minutes. Subsequent arriving units, because of the work being conducted by on-scene firefighters and paramedics and EMTs, subsequent arriving units were able to transport in about a minute to area facilities. Part of the mass casualty concept is to identify who is going to be the most appropriate receiving hospital. In this particular case, different from what Cincinnati experienced, so this time we're dealing with young children. So because of the extent of injuries, the majority of the victims were transported to University Hospital downtown and also Children's Hospital. Thank you.
All right, we'd like to open up to any questions. We ask you to do it orderly and direct your questions to the person that you would like to entertain. Yes.
What have the victims been able to tell you about the shooters? Anything that they can add that people might be able to help you with?
At this time, we're not going to talk about any specifics in the investigation. There's nothing that's suitable to be released right now to the public, but our investigators are getting some information from the witnesses.
And they're being cooperative and they're working with you in this case?
Yes, they are.
How many people were inside the house at the time?
I don't have an exact number for that. I'm sorry.
Do you know if they knew these shooters or if they were strangers? Can you tell us that?
We don't know that. Unfortunately, in this early on as we are, there's a lot more questions I cannot answer than I can. We will follow up with any information we do get in the form of press releases. And if anything significant, again, we would call another meeting for everyone to attend if we had enough information.
Do you know what type of weapons or guns were used in this? Were the kids targeted, or was this like a shotgun that just sprayed the room?
There were handguns involved. We don't know if anyone was targeted at this time. Obviously, with 9 people shot, we'd have to gather how many people were in the room at the time and figure that out through our witness statements. But at this time, we do have some information on the weapons. Again, that's not something we're going to release yet.
How long did this last?
Just maybe a moment or two.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Maybe a minute or two.
A minute or two.
Do you know how many shooters?
We believe 2 at this time.
Do you have any descriptions?
We don't.
Are you considering the unborn baby a 10th victim? We heard one of the women lost their baby.
We've heard that too from social media and third party. We've not confirmed that. I know Ohio law does allow for charges on death of a fetus, so that's something obviously we'd have to talk with the doctors and the prosecutor about.
You don't have a description of the shooters. Was it hard because they were covering their face, or did people not get a good look at the shooters at the time?
That's some information I'd rather not release right now.
Will you be releasing the identities of the other victims? In addition to, I know you released the dead victims.
We have those obviously in our report. We don't have any plans to specifically release that information out of privacy concerns for them. It's not until the investigation is complete.
Not even an initial report?
I'm sorry?
Not even an initial
That's what this is.
report? Okay.
The victim, and you said Autumn Garrett, be a spelling of that?
AUTUMGARRETT. She's a female, 22 years old. I believe she's in Huntington, Indiana, I believe, which is southwest of Fort Wayne.
Is there any issues that the family had with anybody to make you go a certain way with your investigation?
That's more specific information I'm willing to release at this time.
Can you tell me who we think lost the baby? Was this whom the shower or the party was for?
I don't know. I don't know.
We don't know who that.
We don't know who that is or
You
where.
don't even know if that's true.
We have not confirmed any of that individually at all. That's just, we're hearing that third party from the media and from social media.
Okay, but nobody you guys have talked to reported missing and losing a baby.
Correct.
Can you tell us anything about the relationship of the victims who were there? Are they friends, family, all the above? What can you
I believe it's all the above. There were family members in attendance as well as friends. I think it's been put out in media that it was a gender announcement party of some sort, so it was a family gathering with friends as well.
But did the shooters, did they force their way in? Did they knock on the door? How did they get inside?
They entered through the front door. That's what we know at this time. We're not sure if they were allowed in or if they forced entry at this point. There's no indication that they forced entry, but we don't have any specific information. I don't know.
You're asking the public for help. Is there a time frame for people to be paying attention? Maybe something jogs their memory of a certain time span that you're looking at specifically for that area?
We'd certainly rather not limit it to any time span. If there's any information anyone feels is important, we would like that information. We'll follow up on it and find out if it's something we can use in the investigation. But we certainly don't want to limit anybody into thinking that something they have for us is not important, because it is.
When they left the scene, do you know which direction they were heading?
We do have an idea where they directed, yes.
Do you believe several handguns were used?
Yes, yes.
How many?
We believe 2 at this time.
Same caliber or different?
I don't know.
Can you tell us whether you think the people at this party were targeted by these folks?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Can you tell us if the people at this party were actually the target of the people who went in there?
I don't know. I don't know if this was, I mean, there's a myriad of circumstances that could show what happened there, but we don't know if they were targeted or if this was intended for someone else or they just happened to be there. We don't know that.
Is there any reason why residents should be worried, since we don't know if this family was targeted or not?
I would like nothing more in my position to be able to stand up here and tell the community they have absolutely nothing to worry about, but I'm not going to provide statements or information that's false just to make people feel better. We don't know who the suspects are or why they did this. We would encourage people to take the same precautions they always do. Call our police department if there's anything suspicious, to take reasonable precautions to keep your house locked and lights on, but we have no information that makes us believe there's any specific threat to our community.
Is there any reason to believe that these suspects had checked out the area before actually going into the home and started shooting last night?
We don't have any information on that, no.
No kind of vehicle description, anything like that, or did they leave in a vehicle, or did they leave on foot?
They left on foot. Yeah, we have no vehicle description.
I just want to be clear, would you characterize this as random, or that you think there was some prior knowledge, or you don't know?
We don't know. That would be something that would come out in the investigation when we locate our
But you have
suspects.
talked to people inside the house?
Some of them we have, yes.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to interview a lot of the people, or a few of the people, or how far?
I believe everyone that was medically able to speak to us last night we spoke to that was in the house. That number I don't know. But the detectives, obviously, that was our first priority, was to get as much information from the victims as we could. So if they were able to speak to us, we spoke to them.
Ages on the pediatric patients?
Yeah, I think it was 8, 6, and 2. And those are non-life-threatening wounds to the children as well.
Have they been released, sir, do you know?
I don't know.
There were other children inside that home that were not shot, is that correct?
That's correct.
Was that 4? Do you know,
I don't know. I don't know how many were in the
There
house.
was another adult who was not injured in the house, is that correct?
I don't know that.
Not shot, I should
Yeah, I don't know if that's the case or not.
Okay.
And the ones that are injured, those are gunshot wounds?
Yes. Yeah, all the wounds are gunshot wounds.
Are there multiple gunshot wounds on victims, or just single each, or?
I don't know, and I don't know if that's something the fire department can discuss or not. Obviously, by the time our investigators came on scene, the victims had been transported, so we didn't have a good opportunity to
You
triage
guys been
them.
working overnight?
Yes.
How many?
How many officers? About 8 or 9 right now working the investigators. And we have more resources through partnerships we have with the federal government and area departments as well.
And the assistance from Cincinnati, is that crime scene investigation type?
It is. They were more than willing to come out at the quick phone call. They were within an hour. They were on the scene for us. They've always been a great partner to us for that. Unfortunately, they've got experience in that area. No, it's fine.
Do you know whether Autumn Garrett was a guest or was it a family member?
I would speculate she is from Indiana at some point or some area near Fort Wayne, so I would assume that she was probably a visitor, but I don't know that for a fact.
And just to be clear, she was dead when your first responders entered?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, she was.
Multiple gunshot wounds?
Yes.
Where about in her
Were there
body?
more than 9 people inside that home?
There were more than 9 people inside the home, yes. I don't know how many were inside the home, though.
Was it a single officer or a pair of officers that entered the home first?
I believe 3 of our officers entered the home.
Right at first?
Yes.
Do you know what the time was from the first call? I know there were multiple calls, but first call to first arrival?
I believe it was 2 minutes, is what I was
2
told,
minutes?
yes.
Okay.
Did these shooters go through the house looking for people, or did it all happen in basically one room where they just unloaded?
We've not seen any indication they went through the house. That doesn't mean they didn't, but we don't see any evidence that they did.
They didn't chase people down, they shot.
All the victims were in that same room, yes.
Living room?
Yes, yes.
How would you characterize this? Is it a whodunit? Do you have a lead? Do you have anything? I don't want to mischaracterize it.
Well, at this point, I'd rather not get into much about what our investigators know or not. Every homicide's a whodunit till you arrest them, unfortunately, and convict them. But yeah, I'm not willing to speculate on that right now.
And you have not made any arrests?
No.
You don't have any suspects?
We have no arrests made at this time. Anybody else?
What does something like this do to, I mean, a mass shooting like this, 9 victims, there's kids, I mean, you can hear in the 911 screaming, it sounds like pandemonium, I mean, again, from a third party. When you enter, I mean, yeah, you train and all that, but it's different when it's real, yeah?
Absolutely, and certainly not to diminish the suffering of the victims and their families, but my concern is also with my first responders as well. This is, this is something that you carry with you. We're not immune to the things that everyone else is immune to, that are affected by as well. I mean, you see small children shot, that's going to impact you. And we have plans to make sure our guys are taken care of as well in the days coming forward. Okay. Thank you, folks.
I want to thank you for being here. I would also say that some of the things that you've heard and you've asked about, I've come to find out were different media sources asking neighbors and then taking it down. So I would urge caution to make sure that your information is verified, because I'm getting called and wanting me to verify things, and come to find out it was just a neighbor guessing. So show some professionalism in that area, if you would, please. Make sure that what you report is totally accurate. Thank you for being here. I hope the next time you get a press release from me or you hear from me, I'll be telling you we have them. And that's what we're praying for, and that's what we're hoping for. Justice be done, and we'll do our diligence on our end to make it happen. Okay? Thank you very much.